Hey everyone. So, with Mortal Kombat 2 finally hitting theaters after some delays, and also featuring fan favorite Johnny Cage, who's been one of my mains from day one, on, and also taking a moment to explore the character post peak popularity, which is what motivated Carl Urban to take the part. I thought I would take a look at another spin off that's it's part of like the Mortal Kombat Legends GTV films that also shows my how one of my favorite characters came to be. So here are my first reading thoughts on 2023's Mortal Kombat Legends cage match. So let's begin. I mean, the film's main story takes place in the 1980s. It is with they also some flashbacks showing a teenage Johnny's early heydays. I mean, it takes place chronologically before or the other GTV films as well as the games. As Johnny is decides to investigate the disappearance of a popular actress in the movie he's shooting, he uncovers a much greater conspiracy involving the outworld of Elder God Shinnok, and all is one expected to go smoothly. So, based on that description, the movie is very much like a glorious as as homage to the action films of the 1980s, many of which actually were influential in creating Cage's character. Her. I especially like the post-launch appearance of the late Gilbert Gottfried. He giving a performance as the producer, who's also in line with Outworld, old, who helps discover Johnny, and and giving a performance that's much like when he was the man upstairs in Smiling Friends, is leaving us laughing, to be sure. Or I mean, he definitely he made a lot of us laugh with that high pitched voice of his. And Joel McHale, who's also been very amusing on The Soup and other movies he's in shows he's been in, and also does a good job voicing Johnny, not only capturing his ego, but even proves to be a pretty capable fighter. Once he learns how. Oh, and also, naturally, one of the ones he's shooting is the running gag of the ninja mime, where I guess in this timeline, I it actually did have a current Smith cult following in the same way a that the Universal Soldier films did, where the first movie didn't do so well theatrically, a but strong home performance in video sales and rentals made a lot of DTV sequels or interviews of quality. He, likewise, in the main timeline, the Ninja Mime movies that Johnny was in were not huge hits in the States, but were quite popular in France, in the same way that Jerry Lewis's work was, man. As, but, I get ahead of myself here. The film is definitely a nice, tight hour and 20 minutes, and it's definitely easy to get through in the same way playing through rounds the games are. I mean, I know this because as I was able to play through a few rounds in my MKII Legacy collection, and as I was watching it and Director Ethan Spaulding definitely has a lot of experience with the animation, especially in the DTV space. He's having worked on quite a few things I've seen and enjoyed, including not limited to the 20 version of Thundercats. It's the Looney Tunes show and Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. It, all of which incidentally fall under under Warner's umbrella, which also may or may not fall under Paramount's mountain as well, depending on what happens next few months. And naturally, that led to some in jokes also studio specific, like how the familiar superhero walk in front of the stand of Roman's Theater features as like a Superman cosplayer who appears to have the body type of George Reeves variant. I mean, no word on whether or not Outworld was responsible for what happened to him. Um, so on top of Injustice 3 still very much being in the wings, they are working on another main MK game. Heck, I'm not even against another Legacy collection, and and with some of the other titles that didn't make it in the first one, both in terms of like the 2D and the early 3D installments. And I know one of them might have to take a bit to clear the red tape, hey, but still, oh, I'm interested. And I also, oh, am not against the idea of actually a Street Fighter crossover over. I'm not sure to the extent that they're suggesting, but my first choice for a Street Fighter character for sure, I guess a holding on against Mortal Kombat cast would be Akuma, who would definitely be the most antagonistic. Like whether or not he'd be, I don't think he'd be fighting for Earthrealm, but I could see him fighting for Outworld, if not going for his own agenda, given how basically he's the embodiment of what Ryu and Ken would be if they lacked their mutual respect for each other or their moral compass. But still, I don't know about emptiness like Mark was suggesting, but there definitely is a market for having video adaptations that capture the spirit source material, if not the letter, or especially liked how his up and coming, assistant later made his own way learning martial arts, and to get mocap, which incidentally end up showing one of the games, including basically Mortal Kombat Trilogy, which is actually one of my favorite versions, like featured all the characters from the first three games, as well as a few refinements, where and especially Johnny's line implying that the games were actually about their adventures. It was kind of like that in joke where all the stories we know and love were in their universe stories of their own, which is definitely an idea. Yeah, I myself could definitely enjoy seeing. Like my justification for going my own path will still contain influence from my potential Pokemon script. Well, turns out like the anime and games were actually based on the adventures they were having. So there's that. I mean, I may have my entertainment movie calendar locked in for the summer now. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff that I had to just decide I'm gonna wait to see on VOD. He, he, and if I had to choose between like an offbeat a detective story where a bunch of sheep try to figure out how their shepherd died in mysterious circumstances and an affection temple fighting game, I had to give the advantage of the latter. Still, I will definitely be eager to talk about this one, given how I've been wanting to see it ever since last fall. Hence why ones like Tron and Demon Slayer were my fallback. Turns out I even managed to, like, there's a small overlap between those ones, like happened when the last movie came out. It makes sense that they're still gonna be all in on this one, given how it was one of the most successful ones of Project Popcorn, and both parties have expressed interest in developing further video game adaptations, implying that such a market is valuable. Anyway, that'll be all for now, and I'll see you all very soon with my look at Mortal Kombat 2. Take care, everyone. Mm.